So far, the reason why the market hasn't crashed is 1. Magnificent 7 is holding the S&P 500 high, so people are like, it's gonna be okay. Number 2, unemployment is super low, 50-year low, so people have jobs, they're paying their bills. They're not really that worried about it. They are worried, but not that worried about it to the point that the market has to think about maybe a crash or recession coming around the corner. However, number 3 is something to be concerned about because the US consumer credit card debt tops $1 trillion. So you may say, Pat, credit card debt, $1 trillion. I get it. It's the highest it's ever been in the history of America. It's not like that's that big of a deal. We've been spending money on credit cards for a while. Fine, no problem. But look at this chart. Tell me if this concerns you a little bit. This is the credit card interest rate. This shows you, let me explain what the differences are. Blue is the credit card rate. Orange is the 5-year US Treasury. The gray is the difference between the two. So look at credit card interest rates is the highest it's ever been because as rates go higher, your interest rate on your credit card goes higher. And then it makes you miss payments more. So if you had a $33,000 credit card, total debt, and it keeps going higher and higher and higher, your payments are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. The average person's like, look, I can't afford to pay $300 a month. I can't afford to pay $420 a month. All of a sudden it went up. Or a bigger number than that, $420, now it's $580. But this is not a good sign of what's taking place because people's interest payments are officially higher. Now for some of you guys that are watching this, I don't want to break it to you, I got some bad news for you. You know the 30-40 million students or Americans who are paying their debt for their student loan. Remember that whole where the government said, yeah, during COVID, don't worry about making the payments. We're going to defer this. In October, those things are coming back. So think about 30 to 40 million people having to pay another $300 per month that starts this month. So put that on top of everything else that's going on, another $300 a month. Now this next one is going to be crazy because this next one, some people could say, Pat, this is why the market's not going to crash. And I'll give you the argument, let me show it to you. So if you look at this chart, what this shows is the weighted average mortgage rate. So currently, mortgage rates are well over 7% in some cases, at 8%, about 4% or 5%, higher than the lowest mortgage rates we had set earlier in 2022. So this is like a year and a half ago. We're on 3% today. We're at, say, 7.5%, 8%. Despite the sharp increase in interest rates, the weighted average rate has barely ticked up. Only those buying houses are affected by no mortgage rates, and there aren't many home buyers. So what this means is the weighted. If you take everybody's mortgage loan, everybody's loan together, and you average it weighted rate that they have, it has an increase because people are not refinancing. The refi business is dead. Today, right? Only the people that buy in a new house are paying these new high rates, and people are not buying as many houses as they did before because people are not selling. Because those who are not wanting to sell, they don't want to go from a 3% loan to an 8% loan. You get the idea? How long this can last? No one knows, but they're still hanging on to that loan saying, I'm not giving up this 3% loan. Okay? So that was a breather. I gave you some bad news. That's a student loan. You gotta pay it. Reminded you were kind of upset, then I gave you some good news. And this is the real news you want to know about why. The market hasn't tanked. And when you look at this chart, this is the Fed funds and the lag effect, the lag, the delay, lag effect. The graph below shows the Fed fund rates, and the time is as measured in months from the last in a series of rate hikes preceding each recession since 1981. So meaning they're increasing the rates. Increasing, 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 increasing. Boom. They stopped raising. How long did it take until recession hit? If you look at these numbers, you'll see a 6, a 15 months, 8 months, 17 months, 10 months. You know what that means? Takes roughly 11 months from the moment we stop raising interest rates that recession appears again. If this data is real, say they raise the interest rates next month, a month of November. Okay, let's go 11 months, December, January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October of 2024. A month before election, there should be a recession in America based on this chart. That's what should happen in 11 months from November. Now, some people may say, well, Pat, how come more corporations are not filing bankruptcy? How come all this stuff that happened in 2008 is not happening today? Because these corporations, if you look at this chart, what they were doing is the money they took, companies were taking millions and billions from banks saying, go get some more money from the bank because it's so cheap. What do we do with the money? Just set it aside. Who cares? We'll go get the money. Yeah, but the rates are only locked for 3 years or 2 years or 4. Go get 50 million. Go get $1 billion. Go get 100 million. And they did. So what did these corporations do? They took that 50 million at 3% and they bought bonds. So the difference, let's just say the bonds paying 6%. The 6%, 3%, the 3% they're making on top of this, okay? We're making 3% on 50 million bucks every year. We're making $1.5 million in interest. This is awesome. We should have borrowed more money. However, if you look at this chart, you know what's coming up? Here's what's coming up. When that expires and it matures, and then it goes from 3% to 8%, they're going to be in deep trouble because they have to make those payments. They can no longer make money on that. So what do? That's when they have to say, hey, we don't want this loan anymore. Let me give it back to you. If they have the money, or two banks going to say, we're expecting a payment. Do you have it? Can we wait another month? Can we wait another 2 months?